Troppo caldo, treni cancellati in Francia, l'elenco completo delle linee cancellate. Macron, lo stile di Trump, a volte una minaccia, e Trenitalia in Francia, un successo? SNCF, cominciamo da questo, sospende 71 treni intercity per rischio di guasti all'aria condizionata. L'azienda nazionale ferroviaria francese ha annullato 71 convogli intercity a partire da giovedì fino a lunedì prossimo, a fronte di un'ondata di caldo che ha elevato le temperature sopra i 33 gradi in gran parte del territorio nazionale. I treni coinvolti, che si chiamano Corail, costruiti negli anni 70, hanno impianti di climatizzazione che si bloccano oltre i 33 gradi. Le cancellazioni interessano 3 linee importanti: Paris-Orléans, Toulouse, Paris-Clermont-Ferrand e il collegamento Bordeaux-Marsiglia. Nella giornata di giovedì sono stati soppressi 7 treni su 20 nel primo itinerario, 4 su 16 nel secondo e 5 su 16 nel terzo. Praticamente tutti quelli che giravano, che funzionavano durante il giorno, hanno lasciato quelli del mattino presto e quelli della sera. I titolari ci confermano di un biglietto cancellato possono richiedere, grazie a loro senza alcuna penale, la sostituzione del titolo al rimborso integrale. La SNCF invita i passeggeri più vulnerabili, anziani, persone con patologie o bambini, a posticipare il viaggio laddove possibili per evitare di trovarsi a bordo di un treno senza climatizzazione operativa, ma se li hanno sospesi non si capisce. In ogni caso l'elenco dei treni sospesi venerdì sulla linea Parigi-Tolosa 7 su 20 e sulla linea Parigi-Clermont-Ferrand 4 su 16 e così via. Quindi l'elenco che ci hanno fornito non è del treno specifico con orari di partenza e d'arrivo, ma del numero di soppressioni. Ci dispiace di questa cosa che contraddice in parte il titolo, ma questo è tutto quello di cui ci hanno informati e come sempre l'invito è di andare in stazione e chiedere. E vabbè, questo è quello che ci propongono SNCF. Intanto Macron ha fatto un'intervista all'evento. Ha parlato un po' di tutto: accordo USA-Iran, prezzi del carburante, Libano, Ucraina e casa Lian. Ha iniziato riferendosi alla firma dell'accordo di pace tra gli Stati Uniti e l'Iran a Versailles, avvenuta poche ore prima dell'intervista, che è stata congiuntamente decisa da Parigi e Washington. È una buona cosa, ma non si può dire che la guerra sia del tutto terminata, ha affermato Macron, sottolineando l'avvio di una nuova fase di cooperazione e dialogo, nonché la necessità di riprendere le trattative sul nucleare iraniano con il supporto imprescindibile di Francia, Germania e Regno Unito per revocare le sanzioni ONU. Sul fronte energetico il Presidente ha dichiarato che l'accordo ha provocato un'immediata riduzione del prezzo del barile, il che dovrebbe tradursi in un progressivo calo di prezzi alla pompa. Reality check su franciaoggi.com troverete se e quanto è vera l'affermazione di Macron. Inoltre Macron ha rimarcato l'importanza della riapertura dello stretto di Hormuz, invitando Washington a considerare l'offerta francese di supporto, quella famosa: vi mandiamo una nave a supporto della guerra quando la guerra sarà terminata. Riguardo al Libano, Macron ha sostenuto che l'accordo di pace è cruciale per consentire all'esercito libanese di riprendere il controllo dei territori occupati dagli Hezbollah. E sul fronte ucraino ha elogiato la resistenza dell'esercito di Kiev, la sua capacità di produrre droni, definendola stupenda. Ha attribuito al G7, in particolare a un nuovo approccio di Donald Trump, una maggiore capacità di sostenere l'Ucraina e di esercitare pressioni sulla Russia. E Macron ha poi commentato lo stile di Donald Trump, definendolo provocatorio e talvolta una forma di minaccia, ma ha aggiunto che la Francia non ha saputo approntare un lavoro con l'amministrazione americana e di gestire le tensioni commerciali. Ma cosa l'ha veramente irritato? L'ha irritato il fatto che ha fatto aspettare tutti un'ora al pranzo perché se ne stava a fare un'intervista che abbiamo anche visto su tutte le televisioni americane. E quando si è presentato, è questo che l'ha veramente irritato, ha detto "I am the boss". Sentiamolo.
Hello, I'm the boss.
E tutti ridono, ma con delle facce, dovreste vederle, ma il link è su franciaoggi.com, non esattamente divertite. Ma sentiamo cosa deve raccontarci in merito Ray Show.
Macron, indispensabile, o il maestro di cerimonie di Versailles. Cosa di nuovo? Il nostro presidente, che dal salotto dell'Élysée ci regala un resoconto da statista globale. Tra Stati Uniti e Iran firmata a Versailles, guarda caso proprio qui da noi. Calo del prezzo del barile, Hezbollah da disarmare, Ucraina che produce droni stupendi, e Trump provocatorio ma gestibile, tutto sotto il segno della Francia che detta la linea. Ordina, peccato che la realtà abbia il brutto vizio di essere meno cinematografica. Un accordo di pace che non significa che la guerra sia finita. Lo stretto di Hormuz ancora in mano a chi può chiuderlo quando vuole. Netanyahu che non molla il sud del Libano. E Trump che arriva con un'ora di ritardo a cena per poi annunciare I am the boss, con il sorriso di chi sa esattamente dove punge. Macron parla da protagonista, ma sembra sempre più un attore di spalla che cerca di convincersi che di convincere noi di essere ancora al centro del palco. L'Europa arranca nell'intelligenza artificiale, proprio di tutti, tranne che della gestione francese degli ultimi anni. L'indignazione per la morte di Diana, lanciamo un'espressione, come sempre. Problemi interni, potere d'acquisto, crescita anemica, industrie che langhe, spariscono elegantemente dal discorso quando si può parlare di diplomazia da Nobel. È un orgoglio ferito, sì. Quello di chi vede arrivare un Trump che non recita il copione previsto, che non ha bisogno di lusinghe parigine e che, con una battuta, guarda a tutti chi comanda davvero. Ma tranquilli, noi francesi sappiamo affrontare un lavoro con chiunque, anche con chi ci considera più. La Francia continua a recitare il ruolo di potenza mediatrice universale. Peccato che il pubblico sempre più stia guardando altrove. Juan del giorno. Monaco chiese a Zhao, maestro, chi è veramente il capo tra due potenti che firmano la pace? Rispose Zhao, colui che va in ritardo alla cena. Chiese ancora il monaco, ma ora perché Macron parla come se lui a condurre l'orchestra? Rispose Zhao, perché anche chi siede a capotavola bisogna di raccontare una storia in cui non è solo un invitato. Un'altra volta il monaco domandò, maestro, un accordo di pace alla natura di Buddha? Rispose Zhao, sì. E allora perché la guerra? Continua a respirare appena dietro la porta, disse Zhao, perché la pace è firmata sola. Che teme ancora di guardare in faccia chi arriva e dice semplicemente I am the boss. Welcome to the Bulletin of Radio Nice and Central Milan for Friday, June 19th, 2026 on France Today. Calm in podcasting via AI chatbot and on medium waves at 1575 kilohertz. In the newsroom in Nice, Marco Hugo Barsati. From Paris, it's Rachel Costa. News from France, SNCF suspends 71 intercités trains due to risk of air conditioning failures. The French National Railway has cancelled 71 intercités train sets from Thursday through the following Monday in response to a heat wave that pushed temperatures above 33 degrees across much of the country. The affected trains are the Corail, built in the 1970s, whose climate control systems could malfunction under extreme temperature conditions, compromising passenger safety and comfort. The cancellations affect three major routes: the Paris-Orléans-Limoges-Toulouse line, the Paris-Clermont-Ferrand connection, and the Bordeaux-Marseille link. On Thursday, 7 trains out of 20 were removed on the first itinerary, 4 out of 16 on the second, and 5 out of 16 on the third. The number of eliminated train sets remained similar in the following days, with variations between 5 and 7 cancelled trains depending on the route for the entire emergency period. Ticket holders for a cancelled intercités can request, without any penalty, a replacement ticket or a full refund. SNCF also urges the most vulnerable passengers, the elderly, people with medical conditions, or children, to postpone travel where possible to avoid being on a train without operational air conditioning. This measure was adopted in response to an orange alert declaration in 26 French departments from the afternoon of June 18th, when forecasts indicated temperatures above 40 degrees in several areas of central and southern Italy. Fact check by Gemma 4 interview with Emmanuel Macron on world the event. US Iran agreement, fuel prices, Lebanon, Ukraine and the Lihana case. The French president, interviewed by Caroline Roux at the Élysée, gave a detailed account of recent international developments and domestic policy topics. He began by stating that the peace agreement between the United States and Iran signed in Versailles a few hours earlier was jointly decided by Paris and Washington. It's a good thing, but you can say the war is completely over, Macron said, emphasizing the start of a new phase of cooperation and dialogue, as well as the need to resume negotiations on Iran's nuclear program with the indispensable support of France, Germany, and the United Kingdom to lift UN sanctions. On the energy front, The president said the agreement triggered an immediate drop in the barrel price, which should translate into a gradual decline in pump prices. He stressed the importance of a lasting reopening of the Strait of Hormuz, urging Washington to consider France's support offer, while warning that reliance on that route remains a pressure tool for Tehran. Regarding Lebanon, Macron argued that the peace agreement is crucial to allow the Lebanese army to retake control of territories occupied by Hezbollah, promising rapid international mobilization to support this goal. He also criticized Benjamin Netanyahu's stance, which refuses to withdraw troops from southern Lebanon, stating that his policy fuels resentment and violence in the region. On the Ukrainian front, the head of state praised the resilience of Kiev's army and its ability to produce drones, calling it splendid. He credited the G7, and in particular the new approach of Donald Trump, with a greater capacity to support Ukraine and pressure Russia. Macron then commented on Donald Trump's style, describing it as provocative and sometimes a form of threat, but added that France has managed to set up work with the American administration to handle commercial tensions, including the threat of taxing French wines. In the technology sector, the president expressed concern over Europe's weak investment in artificial intelligence, noting that the United States and China dominate the field, while France is the most advanced company in Europe. He called for greater European public investment in AI. Finally, in response to the death of the young Lihana, Macron acknowledged a deep transformation underway in handling gender-based violence cases, announcing an inspection that will be made public on June 22 and reaffirming the importance of turning collective indignation into useful actions. This summary captures the main statements of the French president during the interview broadcast on France 2 on June 18, 2026, highlighting the foreign, energy, technology, and social policy themes at the center of the national debate. Fact-checked by Gemma 4, editorial by Rachel. The Great Circus of Peace at Versailles. Macron tells us with the calm of someone who has just finished rearranging the cushions of power. The war between the United States and Iran is not totally finished, but what is now a new phase of cooperation? Recurring question: has the president ever looked at the damage board? Or does he merely read the script of a diplomatic thriller? The Versailles-signed agreement looks more like a celebrity selfie than a real pact. It required a spontaneous decision, or is it perhaps the usual planned spontaneity of leaders who love the flash of cameras? The gasoline price, an absurd trophy of a diplomacy that boasts of immediately lowering barrel costs. There, France is not a party to the agreement, but positions itself as available to help. It's like being invited to a feast you cannot eat because the door is shut by your own kitchen. And while Trump, who signed at Versailles, promises that the Hormuz Passage will remain unconditional, the reality is that tankers keep queuing as if in a snail race. Slower, duller, and with no prize in sight. Moving to Lebanon, where Macron wants to restore control of territories with international community help. While on the ground, Hezbollah is firing. It's a magician's trick. Promise heroism from a distance, then let geopolitics cook on a low flame. And while Israeli Premier Netanyahu clings to responsibility, the reality remains a puzzle of contradictions where each piece is painted green, red, or blue depending on the party that holds it. Finally, the tragicomic moral of Lihana. The president speaks of more efficient procedures and useful gestures after a case that shocked France. Yes, because nothing improves more than a press conference where words are slimmer than results. And, not to forget, AI. France is the best in Europe, but, alas, no doesn't invest enough. The real paradox? Hoping robots will save us from our own mess without giving them the fuel to do it. Koan of the day. A monk asked the master, if the Versailles Agreement lowers gasoline prices, will the people really have more money to spend on the kitchen or just more excuses not to eat? The master replied, the price falls like summer rain, but the appetite of power stays fasting. True wealth is the faith that the future will arrive at the table on a golden plate. The monk, even more uneasy, asked, and in the struggle for peace between Iran and the United States, why does Mr. Macron say the war is not over while the Hormuz gates open again? The master answered, Because a door that scratches the wind is still a door, but only the one who truly closes it knows the difference between fleeing and stopping. But let's return to the news. Despite a 45% load factor and growing losses, Trenitalia's parent company calls the French launch a real success. The operator, present on the high-speed Paris-Lyon-Milan line since the end of 2021 and on Paris-Marseille since last year, aims to grow its business clientele and increase frequencies to reach financial balance. Access to the Channel Tunnel was cited as an additional development element. A subsidiary of one of Europe's largest rail operators, Trenitalia is the main competitor to SNCF in the high-speed train segment in France. The company runs the Paris-Lyon route with 14 daily trips since 2022, also connects Milan and launched exactly 1 year ago the Paris-Marseille line with 4 rotations per day. Luigi Corradi, CEO of FS International, the international division of the former historic Italian operator, described the entry into the French market as a real success for FS, in view of the difficulties and massive investments undertaken. However, performance would be disappointing. The average load factor hovers around 45%, considered insufficient. On the Paris-Marseille line, capacity swings between 50% in low season periods and 80% in the busiest months, according to Fabrice Toledano, marketing director. To reach profitability, SNCF TGV trains need at least 75% occupancy. Moreover, SNCF TGVs operate with 2 service classes, while Trenitalia's Frecciarossa offers only 1. Accumulated losses are sizable: 34 million euros in 2022, 50 million euros in 2023, and over 68 million euros in 24, the year in which Trenitalia paid $3 million in track access charges to SNCF Réseau. Revenue was 5 million in 2022, 7 million in 2023, and 6 million in 2024, the latter year hit by a severe landslide in the Maurienne Valley that shut the Milan connection for 19 months. The initial forecast had been 90 million. Net debt rose from 18. Trenitalia admits it remains in the red, but views the situation as expected, noting that 50% of costs come from access charges. The future strategy focuses on business clientele. The number of trips on Paris-Lyon has been increased, coverage extended to Marseille, with a growing winter month volume. Business customers are the most profitable and help level occupancy throughout the year. However, they remain heavily tied to SNCF's TGV in Uy, which has launched the Optimum Plus class on Paris-Lyon. Another ambitious project is the London link via a Channel Tunnel, slated for 2030, part of a European expansion strategy that foresees the purchase of 74 new Frecciarossa trains by that time. With a total investment of €2 billion, the company also aims to be integrated into the powerful SNCF Connect ticket-selling platform, in line with recent French and European legislative measures guaranteeing competitor access to reservation networks. The financial support from the parent company, Ferrovie dello Stato, was reinforced with an additional loan in 2024 and a capital restructuring in January 2025. Note: the data are drawn from press releases, corporate statements, and industry sources. Fact check by Gemma 4. Welcome to the International Bulletin from Radio Nice and Central Milan for Friday, June 19, 2026 on France Today. Common podcasting and on medium waves at 1575 kHz. From Paris, it's Rachel Costa. Switzerland postpones the US-Iran summit planned in Geneva. Swiss authorities announced the decision to postpone by 1 week the secret talks between Washington and Tehran, originally scheduled for Friday. The delay stems from uncertainty about the participation of the U.S. Security Secretary, who canceled his flight to Switzerland. International observers fear the postponement will weaken confidence in the peace process the two powers are trying to build. Oil prices fall as the Strait of Hormuz reopens to traffic. The early hours of Friday saw crude oil prices move lower, following the reopening of the Strait of Hormuz after the US-Iran agreement. Analysts note that normalizing the maritime flow reduces concerns about supply availability but warn that global demand remains weak due to recent energy tensions. A stronger demand outlook in the coming months will be the decisive factor for future price trajectories. Fuel distributors confirm pump price reductions. The president of the French distribution group stated that companies have agreed to pass on the recent oil price drops to consumers. The move was welcomed by motorists, especially amid still high inflation. Authorities are monitoring the actual implementation of the discount to ensure there are no regional disparities. South Korea's Kospi continues its record run while Asian markets show mixed signals. South Korea's main stock index hit a new all-time high, driven by confidence in the tech sector and solid export performance. Meanwhile, other Asia-Pacific markets recorded fluctuations, reflecting uncertainties linked to recent Iranian nuclear negotiations. Experts warn that Kospi's stability will depend on companies' ability to maintain competitive margins in a volatile global environment. Missile startup founded by SpaceX staff targets a $12 billion valuation. A new air interception systems company, created by a team of former SpaceX engineers, has attracted high-profile investor interest, aiming for a $12 billion valuation in the coming years. The firm is developing short-range missiles for the defense of critical infrastructure, deemed essential in the new era of geopolitical tension. Industry analysts note that the capital raised could accelerate prototyping and production, but stress the need to overcome international regulatory hurdles. Weather: Paris, Monaco, Monte Carlo, and Milan for Friday, June 19, 26. Paris. Extreme heat day. The morning is clear with a lightly clouded sky and temperatures around 23 degrees Celsius. Wind blowing at 25 km/h from the southeast. No rain in sight. Expert Regis Cripet. In the afternoon, the sun intensifies. Temperatures rise to 36 degrees Celsius and the heat feels like 40 degrees Celsius, while wind gusts reach 35 km/h from the south. Late afternoon maintains the warmth, with temperatures dropping to 31 degrees Celsius but still very muggy and dry. Towards evening, the wind shifts to the northwest with gusts of 35 kilometers. Temperature steadies around 31 degrees Celsius and the sky remains mostly clear. During the night, temperature falls to 24 degrees Celsius, wind calms to 15 km/h and the sky stays lightly clouded, ensuring a rain-free rest. The whole day is confirmed as canal-like, with a very high UV index in the afternoon reaching 8. Monaco, Monte Carlo, sunny and moderately warm. Morning in Monaco wakes under an absolutely clear sky. 27 degrees Celsius with a gentle 10 km breeze from the north, no rain threat. Afternoon, the sun continues to dominate. Temperature climbs to 29 degrees Celsius and wind strengthens to 15 km/h from the south, still dry. Late afternoon sees a slight temperature dip to 26 degrees Celsius, with winds of 15 km/h from the southwest, maintaining cloud-free and dry conditions. Evening brings a hint of shade, but the sky stays clear, temperature around 24 degrees Celsius, and wind eases again to 15 km/h. During the night, the climate stabilizes at 24 degrees Celsius, light winds of 15 km/h from the southeast, and a clear sky with no rain. The entire day is characterized by stable, warm weather, ideal for enjoying the princess streets. Milan. Heat wave incoming. In the morning, Milan wakes at 27 degrees Celsius, under a clear sky and a light 1 km/h breeze from the east. No precipitation. Expert Daniele Berlusconi of 3B Meteo. Throughout the morning, temperatures stay around 28 to 29 degrees Celsius. The gentle wind rises to 2-4 km/h from the east to southeast, and the sky remains mostly clear. Afternoon brings the most intense heat, temperatures reaching 35 degrees Celsius, moderate wind of 4 km/h from the east to southeast, and no rain in sight. Late afternoon temperatures remain high, around 35 degrees Celsius, with stronger winds of 4 km/h from the south to southeast, while the sky stays clear. Evening temperature drops slightly to 34 degrees Celsius, wind shifts to the south-southeast with gusts of 5-6 km/h, and the sky remains clear. During the night, the minimum falls to 31 degrees Celsius, wind calms to 3-4 km/h from the south to southeast, and the sky is partly cloudy but dry. A heat alert has been issued for the afternoon-evening period, advising caution for those with heat-related health issues. Weather editorial by Rachel Is the thermometer a journalist? It's always amusing how every tiny temperature shift gets blamed on climate change as if it were a thriller plot, right? Rhetorical questions. Why did the sun decide to scorch Paris Provolone today and not yesterday? Is it a meteorologist conspiracy or simply the result of a well-placed high-pressure system? Yet, while we wonder whether a cloudy sky really signals an imminent climate apocalypse, experts keep sword fighting the wind, but perhaps we should just take the heat as an invitation to drink more water and fewer conspiracy theories. Koan of the day. Monaco asks, "Why is it raining tonight?" Zhaozhou replies, "The sky does not weep, but the thermometer sweats." And that's today's weather. This is all for now. From the Paris newsroom, I'm Rachel Costa. This is Radio Nisa, Central Milano 1575 kHz.